Cauldron Familiar. This is 1 black for a 1/1 cat. Shout out to Rarin. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then you sacrifice a food. Return this from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. This on surface seems very unassuming. However, why would you show me this card otherwise?
Have you done much with food? Have you had foods in our games? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think I have. If I have, like, I don't know if I have, actually. What's a food?
A food is a token that several cards out of Eldraine create. This is another Eldraine card, by the way. That it is an artifact token that for 2 and a tap, you can sacrifice it and gain 3 life.
2, tap it, sacrifice it, gain 3 life.
Yes.
Interesting. So you can sack one of those to, and so I'm assuming that in Eldraine there's plenty of like things that can like make these foods.
There are many. I'll just cut to one of the ones that everybody is going to associate with Cauldron Familiar. Sure.
Witch's Oven. It costs 1. You sacrifice a creature, create a food token. If it's toughness 4 or greater, you get 2 food tokens. That makes sense because he's bigger, so you get more food out of him. Interesting. So you can... Oh, thank you. I need to see the lovely fruits. Why are the bananas like corkscrew? Whatever. I'm not going to get into that. They look like Cheetos. Remember the twisty Cheetos? That's what that reminds me of.
Yes.
So you can Cauldron Familiar. Each opponent loses a life. You gain a life. You can sack the Cauldron Familiar to Witch's Oven, which gives you a food. And then you can sack the food to bring back the Cauldron Familiar, which then triggers. And then you can just like do this infinitely. Oh no, because you tap the Witch's Oven. So you'd have to have a way to like untap the Witch's Oven. But it's like theoretically there's like an infinite combo here that you could like just like drain your opponents for everything. Okay.
I will say that would come up with future printings, but going infinite with Cauldron Familiar was not an issue in Standard, just to help your analysis.
Okay. They really banned a cat? There's no way.
This is just
this is just the mind games at this point, because it's just like, oh my god, there could be like some other card in the combo if there is like some combo with this that got banned, and like this is fine. But then it's like, are you showing me this because I would think that, and this card actually is banned, and it's just like very unassuming, and it's like, because I've showed you plenty of bad cards that they banned in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't think this card seems like bad for the record. It seems fine. God, there's no way. Like I get like what you can do with this, but they had to ban the cat. No shot. There's no way. I will take the bait here, and if you're baiting me, that's fine. There's no shot they banned this.
Cauldron Familiar.
Oh god. He's already starting off like that.
In the fire design world,
I hear him smiling ear to ear as he's talking about this.
In the fire design world, many sins were committed in terms of card design, some would say. But of all of them, I don't think any card was as annoying as Cauldron Familiar.
Really?
This was the most annoying card, some might say, printed in Standard since I don't know what. And everybody has their own triggers. Everybody will have their bias. But my God, I can't think of many games that I personally like. I can't think of a card that made me rage quit as many games as Cauldron Familiar.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I am 100% serious. This card, it did a lot to invalidate aggro on its own. The Witch's Oven combo meant you could block almost any attacking thing, sacrifice it to the oven, bring it back, gain and drain, and just sit there doing nothing but triggering these things over and over. Every time you tap the oven and sack the cat, a trigger goes off. Every time you sacrifice a food to return the cat to the battlefield, a trigger goes off. Every time. And then, heaven forbid, they have 1 cat and 3 ovens. And you can just sack, return, and you do this every turn. Every single turn, over and over. Now, that is against aggro. This is where I get mad. If you are a control deck, there's like nothing you can do because you don't have a board presence, so the cat's attacking you every turn. If you try to use any interactive spell, they just sack and bring it back over and over. And the long game, there is none. You're just cooked in the oven. It's just, you're going to die. You can try to drag the game out for 6 or 7 turns like a control deck wanted to do, and it's just death by a million, some would say 10,000 tiny needles. It's a death by a million cuts, and it takes forever. It was so frustrating and annoying. I don't even know how to properly explain it. And let me show you one more card that if something had to put the final nail in the coffin, this card.
Mayhem Devil. 1 black and a red for a devil. I would hope so. 3/3. When a player sacrifices a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. The machine gun on the fire.
Yeah.
Just every time the cat goes to the graveyard, a damage. Every time you sack the food to bring it back, a damage. It just mowed down everything. By the way, if you ever want our mutual friend Ash to smile, just bring up good old cat oven
I
combo.
bet this is right up her alley.
This was her favorite thing in the world. Yes.
Oh, I bet.
So she was very sad on that day in August of 2020 when Cauldron Familiar was banned. And this is the first one that they actually shouted out the arena interface as a big reason why. Because in paper, this is 2020. Nobody was playing paper at the time because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
In paper, you're just like, I sack this, I bring this back. I sack this, I bring this back. On Arena, click, trigger, stack, click, trigger, stack, click, trigger, stack, target. It took forever. And man, I was in competitive events just scooping on like turn 2. I was just like, I don't want to do this with my day. This is going to take 10 years and I'm going to lose anyway. I just want out. It was a nightmare, man. It's hard to explain if you weren't there. It's a toughie. It was a tough one to swallow. You call the Yu-Gi-Oh players babies. I'm going to call the Magic players babies for this one. I'm not going to lie. I get the interface thing in terms of like that part, but like really this was like the tier 1 super mega threat that you were dealing with. Like, I don't know. Like this, like in Yu-Gi-Oh would never fly. Like just straight up. The deck was arguably rarely tier 1, but it was just the
it wasn't like
trigger. It
wasn't
always
necessarily like great. It was just the fact that it like just took forever.
It was competitive, but yeah, they did acknowledge the ban was mostly because it took forever. Yes.
Interesting.
That's what happened.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is one of the cards that got nerfed in Historic, and it's kind of interesting. I'll show you how they changed the card in Historic so that they didn't have to ban it.
So this wasn't like a tier 1 deck, though. You'd say it was like tier 2, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. It was. There were times where it was definitely tier 1.
Okay.
Like, it was a very good choice, but it wasn't always there. Especially against the other things. Now in Alchemy,
so it can't block.
Yeah.
Then that's it. Huh.
That's it. Yeah.
Does that make a big difference?
They were fine with it hosing control, but yes, the ability not to block and just invalidate any and all aggro attackers. Like aggro couldn't beat this card if you had this in an oven. It just couldn't do it because every turn you got a free block and a gain drain, and you're getting nope, they couldn't handle it. It was an absolute menace.
You have all these cards that like exile cards from graveyards and stuff. Just exile the Cauldron Familiar. It's dead.
That's a great suggestion. How do you suppose you do that when you can use the ability as an instant? Remember, you sacked it for a food. You have the food. If you target it in the graveyard, you just activate Cauldron Familiar in response, and it comes back to the battlefield. Wait till they sack the
food to put this trigger on the stack to bring it back, and then exile it in response.
What if they don't do that? What if they wait till they have 2 foods? If they just put something
Oh,
else
and
in
then
the oven.
they can stack that. Okay,
and they can do
fair.
that in response. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I'm telling you, man. It's hard to explain how annoying this was. It was gig annoying. It was an absolute monster. It had to be banned.
I'm also used to Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything's like a hard once per turn, so it's like you just like they wouldn't be able to like do that twice. So that makes sense. Okay. All right. Yeah, like okay, I can kind of see it. It's just funny because it's like it seems so unassuming, and like I don't know if they like intended for like these interactions to work the way they did, but that's really interesting. Okay.